Hi everyone, so Daniel here with a late, and I just want to catch up and follow up on that video that I posted last week where I discussed a couple of reasons why going the low fat, counting calories route when trying to lose fat isn't always the optimal way to do it at all, and especially when it comes to working with the clients that we work with in their 40s and women in their 40s and 50s. So I just want to carry on from that and talk a bit more about why we choose the option to first focus on going low sugar. So when you go low sugar, which is also low carbohydrate, because I know it's the same thing. Sugars and carbohydrates are the same thing, by the way. And because I know it's confusing when I say cut out sugars, because people say, "Oh, I'm not eating that many sugars anyway," because they think the sugars are just the cans of Coke, jellies, sweets, cakes, things like that. They're not aware that actually there's more. Quite often, there's more sugar in the breads, and the rice, and the cereals, and the pasta and stuff that you're actually eating. Carbohydrates, right? So when I say cut down sugars, or when I say we choose to reduce carbohydrates, that's what I mean is those foods, along with obviously the typical jellies and things. So there's a lot of benefits from focusing on that first. So because I never even mention calories to clients, when you start focusing on reducing the sugars, there's tons of health benefits which I'll go into, but also calories look after themselves because they're naturally lower anyway, because when you focus on eating fats and proteins, you stay very full, so it's very hard to eat too many of them. So focus first on reducing sugars. That's what I would recommend people do. And again, so just to follow on, one of the main reasons is because you feel so good when you take out these high sugar foods, because you have tons of energy. You don't have any slumps anymore because it's the sugar that's driving those slumps. Brain fog gets lifted. You'll see this, when people write about it, our clients, or just people in general, and you might read it online, when people get rid of high sugar, you just feel so much better in yourself. You wake up thinking more clearly from the get-go. You have a different way of actually thinking, because you feel brighter, because you don't have this sluggishness, this feeling of even in terms of how you physically feel, and you won't be bloated anymore from getting up from the table after eating this stodgy type meal, because it's the sugars, when they're digesting, that they actually can cause that bloatedness. So when you're focusing on reducing sugars, you feel so much better from the inside out, and this has a lot of benefits. So it's not just running around day to day, it's also the fact that it's very then easy to maintain your fat loss, because you will not want to go back high sugar again. Because if you introduce a lot of really high sugar foods, again, you start feeling all these things returning, the tiredness, the slump at 3 p.m, dragging yourself through every day, and no one enjoys that. So even someone in maintenance who slips in some of these high sugary foods again, even though I advise them not to, they automatically think, well, and we hear this because they'll message us and say, you know what, I added, so I was at a wedding or something like that, had loads of breads and loads of pasta and loads of the cake afterwards, and I felt terrible. So that was a lesson learned. I won't be doing that again. So it makes it very easy to maintain, because you feel so. It's not just about fat loss, because we all know we can get very complacent when we get slim and start adding things in that we shouldn't. But when you add them in and feel so terrible, coming from a place where you felt so alive, you'll obviously you won't continue like that. So that's fantastic. Now, you don't have to stay very low sugar in maintenance with people, but we add in healthy ones. Like fruit has a lot of sugar, but we add in some of that, and some vegetables like potatoes, carrots and parsnips and butternut squash and stuff, they have lots of sugars, but at least they're surrounded by a real healthy food, and we tend to not overeat them, because you're not going to eat potatoes all day, but you would eat bread all day, for example. So basically, one of the main reasons why first focusing on reducing your sugar from your diet and not just focusing on calories is because you'll feel so much better from the inside out when you're not relying on high sugar meals to get you through the day. So that's another tip, and I hope it spurs some people on, gets some people taking action, and it gets them thinking outside the box. So, starts moving people away from thinking they need to live on cardboard and low-fat food in order to lose weight, because you don't need to do that. There are other ways, tasty and more nutritious ways. And just as well, to finish up, so as I mentioned in the last video, when we reduce the fats, we naturally increase our sugars, or carbohydrates a lot. And the problem also is that the things like rice and pasta, they're very, very low in nutrients when compared to meats and fish and vegetables. Very low. They are a low quality food. So when you're filling your plates with these things, because they're low fat and you're using them as filler, it also means you're eating a large quantity of low quality, low nutrient dense food, which is never a good thing. So that's another reason as well why, because when you're focusing on low sugars, you're going to be eating more meats and fish and vegetables, which are obviously very, very nutritiously dense foods there, and fantastic for overall health. Your skin, your hair, your nails, your eyes are brighter. There's just so many benefits. It's fantastic. So it's like a magic pill, actually, when you move away from that need for high sugar foods. It is like you've stepped into someone else's body, and it can even happen over the course of a couple of weeks, the first couple of weeks, once you do it right, that is. If you just cut all your sugars, after listening to this, you might get it wrong there. There's certain steps that you need to take, but when you do it right, it's just a fantastic way of living. So hopefully that'll help some people, and like always, any questions, just shoot away and we'll get them answered for you.